please, Mr. Britt.
Mr. Burns? Here. Ms. Myers?
Here.
Ms. Meister?
Here.
Ms. Boyce?
Here.
You have four.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve the previous council meeting minutes from October 12th, 2022.
I'll make that motion.
I have a correction in the minutes. Under the police report, I made a motion, Ms. Boyce made a motion to refer zoning issue to the planning and zoning commission under the police report. If you could look in your notes and see what that was. It died for lack of a second.
Bottom of page 1.
If I could ask a procedural question. Since I was not here, I would typically abstain. I don't think that I have to do that, but can we pass it with 3?
You can pass it with 3, but you are correct. And we have this from the county prosecutor's office. When you vote on the minutes, you're just confirming that those are the minutes. So you didn't have to be here. So it's your option.
Thank you.
So I want to go ahead with that edit on that section.
Still make that motion?
I'll second it.
Roll call, please, Mr. Britt.
Mr. Burns?
Let's say yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Meister?
Yes.
And Ms. Boyce?
Yes.
I signed this, I'll mark it on here that you're going to make that correction.
Yes.
We have a motion to approve pay ordinance number 11, 2022.
Any questions? I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please, Mr. Britt.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Meister?
Yes.
Ms. Boyce?
Yes.
Thank you.
May we have a motion to excuse Mr. Williams?
I'll make that motion.
Who's first and who's second?
On first.
I'll second the motion.
Roll call, please, Mr. Britt.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Meister?
Yes.
Ms. Boyce?
Yes.
Thank you. May we have a motion to excuse Mr. Hume?
I'll make that motion.
I haven't heard anything from him. Did he contact
He's
us?
sent
He sent
an
an
email,
email
yes.
to council.
I'll second.
Roll call, please, Mr. Britt.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Meister?
Yes.
Ms. Boyce?
Yes.
Thank you. We have Mr. Alps with the school district. I'd like to.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'll make this brief. I appreciate the opportunity to just kind of give you a quarterly update on the state of our school district. We are midway through the second quarter already, hard to believe. Had a very successful start to the school year. Our students are doing really well. We've got accolades in arts, and we had a student whose self-portrait was selected to hang in the Rift Center in Columbus. First time we've ever had that from a Taylor student. So it's on display right now. I believe through December. Our band program's going well. Our marching band received several awards. Academically, we just had 2 Taylor High School students receive academic recognition from the College Board, which will be great on college applications. We received on the state report card, we were pleased when we found out in August, the state has a star system, 25 stars is max. Our district received 22 out of 25, and that is stars given to us for achievement, growth of the students where they are academically at the beginning of the year, and how they finish at the end based on testing. Some of our gap closing special needs student population and how they're progressing. So last year we, like everyone else, kind of struggled through the effects of COVID, quarantines, and student absences and staff absences. So we were really pleased with that. It put us in the top 10% among public schools in Ohio. So we're proud of that. And as we've said to the staff, our goal is to repeat, right? Kind of like the Bengals, we're going to do it again. This fall, we've done really well in our athletic fields again. We have just wonderful student athletes who represent our school And I'm always remiss when I start to talk about it, because I know I'm gonna leave somebody out, but I think we are highlighted by our girls soccer team, who won the CHL co-champs for the first time in 18 years. Coach Dabbs was the CHL Coach of the Year. And then we had a young lady, Donna Bundy, who was the CHL Player of the Year. So they had a great season. And all of our fall sports did as well. Mr. Burgess gave a report last night at our school board meeting just about being a student athlete and how our all athletes also are doing really well with their GPA in the classroom. So we are looking forward to Veterans Day. We're going to celebrate it tomorrow. That's a big deal for us. We love it when the veterans come back. We chose Thursday instead of Friday because we know that they're really busy out and about in the community on the actual day of veterans. So 10 o'clock tomorrow in our gym, and we have probably close to 50 veterans that will come and we'll recognize and honor them. We have our theater program, our drama program through Acclaim, our Acclaim Foundation, doing the production of Moana, Friday night at 7, Saturday night at 7, and Sunday at 2 p.m. So if you get a chance, they work really hard on it. We're looking forward to that performance. Our boosters club, I was just at a meeting before I came here. Our athletic boosters looking at a privately funded project where they are hoping to, at some point, build a facility out where the concession stand is, the football stadium, for a fitness center, weight room, locker rooms. The board is watching every nickel and dime like you do. We said this would need to be privately funded. They're working with the board. If we're in the infant stage, so nothing has been decided, that they're committed to talking and looking through that project and then ultimately working with the board to get that built for our student athletes. Last night also, our new treasurer, Terry Riesenberg, presented the 5-year financial forecast, which is required by law. She does it in October, November, and then again in May. So it's a projection, right? It's kind of looking to the future. We know how state funding is. It's up and down and all around. We feel pretty good about where we're at right now in terms of our reserve. We are trying to prolong asking our community to financially support our school. You know, at some point it's going to happen. We were able to take COVID ESSER dollars and supplant a lot of our salaries over the last 2 years. So we know that we're pretty financially sound right now. Into next year, 24, 25, we really start to look at it because we get into deficit spending, and the ESSER dollars, the COVID dollars that we have, will need to be spent. So we received, safety is always a top priority for us. We received a $50,000 safety grant from the state of Ohio. And they always, when you get these grants, there's a lot of red tape, and it's like they tell you how to spend it. So we're using it for additional cameras and fixing cameras that we have and improving our intercom system in the building. We meet all the time about safety plans to the state. We do drills. It's a top priority. Just had another meeting today about it. We feel blessed to have the Hamilton County Sheriff right here, 2 minutes up the road, and then we have a safety team as well up there during the day. So it always will be a top priority, and a lot of people ask us about that. And then we're heading into our winter, fall, our winter athletic season. We have Thanksgiving break on November the 21st. And one other thing that the board has been focusing on is we did an enrollment study. I haven't had one of those in a while. What does it look like? We know that there's some building going on or some proposed building. And so we used a company out of Columbus called Future Think. And they just provided a 10-year projection. Again, it's an estimate, but it appears that our student enrollment will increase about 200 students over the course of the next 10 years. Based on their report, it's a gradual increase. So the good news for us is it's not like 100 kids next year and then it kind of fizzles out. It's a steady increase. So we're trying to plan for that because that's the other issue that we have on our campus, beautiful campus, but we're out of space. The enrollment, the building was built for 1,850 students. We have about 2,100 in the building now. part of the reason we're out of space is our enrollment is higher than what the building was built for, but our programs have expanded. So we're keeping a close eye on that, on funding, and all is well in Yellow Jacket country. So, questions for me?
In the Veterans Day program, like any veteran in the village is welcome to.
Yeah, we put a notice out, we kind of wanted to have an idea because we feed them, and we want them to have seats, but, you know, if somebody wanted to come tomorrow, we're not gonna turn them away. The veterans, our kids get involved, and they present, and it's middle school this year, we kind of rotated around. So it's over at campus, and it starts at 10 o'clock.
Do those additional students include open enrollment students? Is that where the
Yeah,
largest group is?
right now, the 2,100 do. We have about 200 open enrollment students. Board's looking at that closely as well. At what point do we kind of have to stop taking outside? I think that we've been doing it since 2005. And it was a revenue generator for us at the time. And it still is. We get about $500,000 from our open enrollment students. The policy that's in place and what the board guides me to do is as we accept open enrollment students, we have to do it within space available. So for example, when we were looking at open enrollment applications this summer, they started applying in June. We knew in May, for example, that we couldn't take sixth graders. We just didn't have the room. We always keep wiggle room for our Three Rivers residents if they were to move in. So I had to keep space there for our kids, and so therefore, we can't accept sixth grade this year. And we keep that in mind because the goal is not to have to add staff. So it's a good question, and it's a question that we've been talking about pretty openly about, is it time to maybe freeze it for a while and see what our numbers look like?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Kind of on that, do you see any interesting or large-scale patterns or changes in what kids at what grades are enrolling in parochial schools as opposed to Three Rivers? Do you get data on that?
You know,
or-
we don't, that I know of. We have a large percentage of students that go to parochial schools in our community, and that has been the tradition. I've been told, I don't have the actual number because we have some numbers from some of the schools, but we don't have like St. X that doesn't include in this report. Close to 35% of the school-age children will go to parochial. The other fast-growing educational opportunities online. So there's a lot of virtual academies now that parents have opted to enroll their students in, especially after COVID. So we feel like in the last 5 years, we've actually had some kids come back to us that families were traditionally parochial. They like the size of our school. They like the leadership opportunities. So and don't get me wrong, I'm not downplaying Elder or St. Mary's or South, but it's like, hey, we can come to Taylor and really get involved and get a good education and not have to pay the tuition. So we've seen that as well, but how many we actually lose is a good question. Just at one time, we would get the students for kindergarten, and then they would go to Visitation or St. Jude, and now they offer kindergarten, so we don't get as many kids in the parochial sector into a public school in kindergarten.
Thank you.
One of the other things, and then I'll back away, people ask me all the time about COVID and the impact it's had on kids. I mean, our numbers are astounding. We have rebounded. In fact, our test scores last year were better than we were in 18-19 based on state tests. So we were really happy with that. And I think it was because we just kept pressing on. If you're sick, stay home. We were following the protocol, but we really wanted to stay open. The issue that we're facing right now, and I know this is across the area and state, is our younger kids are really struggling because they didn't have preschool for a couple of years. And so when you think about that, these little guys are coming in for the
first time, structured setting, all-day kindergarten, but we do offer half-day, and they're having a hard time. And we've talked with Oak Hills, we've talked with Southwest, and it seems to be a pattern. So we're trying to pour as many resources as we can into them to get acclimated to school and the structure and how you interact with kids your age in a classroom setting. So it's something that we're keeping an eye on and trying to address. I don't think it's going to go away right away. I think we've got an influx of kids that just didn't have that opportunity, right, to get into the preschools on a consistent basis. So, all right, I'll let you go. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Anytime.
Council, on your agenda, there's a line item for Ms. Paula Brain-Hager with the public library that there's a little mix-up in communication between me and Mr. Brett. She is not here. She'll be here in January. So we'll go on to our public comment section. Mr. Burkholz?
Yep. I'll be brief. I just have two things. First of all, I wanted to congratulate you on the levy passage. Over 1,000 people came out to vote. I think that's a good thing. I think your public meeting was helpful, that you did that. Not that there were that many people there, but I think the fact that you did it was a good thing. I wanted to particularly credit you, Jerry, as far as the creation of that section of the newsletter. I don't know who did the newsletter, but it was a nice newsletter. And I think that was a very important part of it too. So once again, I think you did a good job on it. I'm glad to see it passed. And I'll be interested to hear what your plans and how they develop, because you still got a hole that you gotta work on. The second thing really is I guess a question or a request I need to ask Sergeant Carney, and that is if there are criminal newsworthy events that take place in the village of Cleves, rather than simply saying, well, we did one criminal report, one non-criminal report, it would be very helpful for me if I could report on criminal activity within the village. Thus far, I've not heard that. There's never been an example given. Okay, so I just wanted to ask you, make sure you had the opportunity to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. On to our solicitor's report. Mr. Nichols.
All right, we've listed two, it's gonna end up being three, so I'll explain the last one in a minute. Resolution number 14, 2022, resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
Jim, you wanna give us a couple bars on this?
We received the estimated rate that we'll receive for our levies for next year, probably about 3 months ago. One thing that comes with those, the county auditor usually estimates those at 97% of what they think they'll get, so that's to keep communities from over budgeting. So it's a standard form that we do every year. If we disagreed with those, we could contest it, but there's really nothing wrong with what they've got for estimates. They fall right in line with where we've been, so I'd recommend that we go ahead and approve that.
Any questions? I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please, Mr. Britt.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Meister?
Yes.
And Ms. Boyce?
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution's adopted. Resolution 15, 2022, resolution authorizing the village administrator to enter into an agreement for the purchase of electricity for the village's electricity aggregation program.
Briefly, this is our electric aggregation contract that comes up. We are under contract until August of 2023. We currently are fixed at a rate of 0.0493 kilowatts per hour. Duke's current price is 0.68. This just allows me to eventually bring a contract to the council in the event that we get a better price for an extension of this contract because electric prices are spiking like all utilities. And we're gonna be we're going out to bid for 1, 2, or 3 year contracts. And this just allows me to accept a bid that's recommended by our broker. So there's nothing until, there'll probably be nothing till August of next year, but in the event that we get an offer for an extension at a decent price compared to the other prices, then we'll bring it to council.
Any questions? I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please, Mr. Brett.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Meister?
Yes.
Ms. Boyce?
Yes.
That resolution's adopted. The last one is going to do with an abandoned property at 414 North Miami. Mike emailed me this afternoon, but I went straight from basketball practice to being Mr. Dad doing homework, changed clothes, and came down here, so I didn't have time to type something up. But essentially what has happened is this house went into foreclosure. It looks like July 29th of 19, there was an agree judgment entry and decree of foreclosure. August 29th, they granted a motion to appoint a private selling officer to put it to auction, and then nothing ever happened since. So I guess Mike had reached out to the port about getting some assistance so that the property could be demolished, and they informed him of the kind of procedural posture. So revised code 2329071 allows a property that's sat in this condition unsold for 12 months. We can request the county prosecutor to file a motion with the court for sale of the property. So I'll type something up tomorrow. It'll basically be a line or two, but it'll be resolution 16/2022, and it'll be resolution requesting the county prosecuting attorney file a motion with the court for the sale of property pursuant to a decree of foreclosure in Hamilton County Common Pleas Court Case A1806526.
Any questions?
So this would go to the sheriff's auction. In the event that no one bids on the property, we will request that the Port Authority give it to us as we have with the other properties, and they would release all the back taxes, unfortunately some of which are to us. So if it's sold, we'll get our back taxes, and then we proceed from there.
I'll make that motion.
You mentioned the intention is to demolish it? Or what's the state of the property?
It's in disarray. It's been empty for 5 years. Until a year or so ago, the person was paying the taxes. We can't find the owner, and the neighbors have complained, and it's definitely in need of a lot of repair. The bank was holding on to it. They winterized it. The neighbors were cutting the yard. We were cutting some of the yard. But the bank now says they're going to just give up on it. So it'll go to sheriff's auction. Hopefully someone may buy it and want to rehab it. If not, we'll again do what we did at 207. If we can get someone that wants to rehab it, the goal is to either keep it residential or knock it down and hopefully rebuild on that spot. It's not a large lot, but there's some neighbors that have been there for a long time. It's right across from C.T. Young, actually.
I'll second the motion.
Roll call, please, Mr. Brett.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Meister?
Yes.
Ms. Boyce?
Yes.
The resolution's adopted.
Mr. Nicholas, once you get that typed up, can you send it out?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Sergeant Carney with the Sheriff's Department.
Evening, everybody. Well, for the month of October, there were 150 calls for service, bringing it up to a total of 1,600 so far. There were 38 non-billable calls, up to 475. 4 cases were assigned to detectives for follow-up. 3 criminal reports were taken this month, or in the month of October. 4 non-criminal, 10 auto accidents. I don't know if because it was sunny or what, people just couldn't drive, but they were crashing everywhere. And 6 citations were issued. In regards to your question, I don't know what you would feel is newsworthy, because I we're not allowed to give out personal information as far as addresses and stuff like that, so if you have a specific question, the door's always open, you can come in and ask
I'd
it.
rather ask the question right now, since at the North Bend meeting, you mentioned the fact that I don't find the criminal cases to be newsworthy, so therefore I don't report on them. So what I'm asking is that when there is such a criminal event here, that you go ahead and describe it to everybody present. So.
Okay. Well, I do have 3 reports here, if you would like, I could go over them.
If that's what I can report and you've got details, I'll be glad to do it. I have it all on tape. But to, in your past sharing with every council, actually, even with the, not you so much at Miami Township, there's really no details given, so it's real hard for.
Well, because by law, I can't give out your information or your
Now,
addresses.
I understand, but
So
you could
the
make.
vagueness of giving it out.
You could make a comment that I wasn't reporting on it, though, at the North Bend Village meeting. You could make that comment to them, which basically is not true. So I just wanted to make sure, if you're going to make a statement like that on tape in a public meeting, that sort of brings my reputation into question, then I think you need to be able to say right out here what those issues are. When the stabbing took place, I went ahead and did
Okay.
that.
All right, well, at 171
Somebody
Hodges,
can
we
stand.
all know what went on there. That was a specific targeted event where the individuals came in to the residence and the homeowners took action against those that came into their house, and those people that came into the house were charged. There was also, in the same month, at 3 on North Miami, a resident took it upon themselves to steal someone else's dog, and that individual was arrested for the theft of that dog. And the 119 Miami, since it's always, there was an overdose of somebody who was walking onto the property, overdosed, and Narcan was administered, and she was brought back and refused any medical treatment.
Just so you know that there was an article on that,
Yeah, I saw it.
okay? I just want you to make sure you're accurate when you make comments.
Thank you.
Yep, any other questions?
Thank you, Sergeant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chief Lacy is not able to attend tonight, so Mr. Ray Hall will report on the fire department.
The assistant chief was supposed to be here, but there was a fire in the area, so he wasn't able to come. The chief reports that there were 7 fire runs in Cleves. A structure fire, appliance fire, brush fire, dumpster fire, and 2 fire alarms. And there were 31 EMS runs. And you received the reports on those, I believe. They've also been doing some additional training in their new station. And participated in Trunk or Treat at 3 Rivers and participated in North Bend Safety Day.
Thank you. And with our service department, Mr. Nutt.
We finished up our grass cutting for the season this week. Put the mowers away and we're done with those. We spread 22 truckloads of asphalt millings in the park. We extended 2 parking lots, and we kind of ran out of milling, so we were able to extend those quite a bit. We pulled our Christmas decorations out for, I know you don't want to hear that, but we got to start checking our Christmas decorations, and then we'll probably put those up the end of next week, and then turn those on the Monday after Thanksgiving. And then I was advised that ODOT will be taking over snow removal on US 50. The county can no longer take care of it, and that might be just the next phase. That 264 might also be. And right now, the county's able to take care of it. There's an option for them to back out of that agreement with ODOT too. That's all I got.
Any questions? Thank you,
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, too.
Mr. Winnieson isn't able to be here tonight. Mr. Ray Hall will give the water department report.
Eric reports 25 million gallons pumped, and they've had 4 or 5 water main breaks in the area, none in the village, mostly outside in Whitewater Township. And we also closed on the water tower property up in, on Bridgetown Road. We sold that to a realtor. That's it.
Thank you for that. We'll continue on to Mr. Ray Hall again.
Okay.
For the village administration report.
Good evening. As John mentioned, the park is closing down, soccer's finished for the year, we're winterizing, and John and I will meet with the director of soccer to assess the season. Roy Rogers is on schedule to open this month. Ribbon cutting will be determined by the owner and based on the opening day established, hopefully before Thanksgiving. As Mr. Burkholz mentioned, thanks to all that worked the polls, developed literature and info, and promoted and voted for the levy. We appreciate it, certainly. And the young man that we hired in the service department, Aiden Pinkney, had to resign due to health issues. So we are, again, looking for an additional service department / water department worker. Putting out the word, and John's working through the additional service departments in the area and Center for Local Government, and maybe we should probably put something on the website. But,
Want to send me a blurb? I can get
yes, we'll be looking for someone to help with the snow
How
plowing.
much of hay is,
Yeah, hopefully he will be. He's, if it's short and he gets a doctor's release, then we would consider rehiring him. But right now, we need someone for the winter.
no, I meant the pay for the position. Can you say it?